So I think I'm gonna sell my car. It's a 2013 Hyundai Genesis. I really like the car. I bought it new in February of 2014 during the auto show. They were running some specials, so I picked it up. It's a 3.8 liter V6 rear wheel drive, 333 horsepower, 291 foot-pounds of torque, perforated leather seat, base model though. I mean, it had a 13 speaker sound system that sounds great. Still does sound great actually. Really quiet, laminated front glass windshield so that there's not a lot of road noise, and smooth highway suspension. It's a nice car. It's more like a touring car, like it's kind of modeled after the BMWs, well, probably more of the Mercedes at the time. But anyway, I was looking at selling it to my nephew who needs a good, reliable car, and it's actually still under warranty. That's the best thing about these. The warranty doesn't expire until 2024, and it's now June of 2021. Has 70,000 miles on it, so another 30,000 miles before the drivetrain warranty expires. So I'm thinking to myself, hey, if you're 20-something years old and you're trying to get started in life, I think that'd be a really nice car to start with. Rides great, handles great, very, very few issues, all handled under warranty with it. So great car, right? Well, interesting challenge though. See, I'd planned on driving this until my son was 16, which will be in about 5 years. He turns 11 at the end of the month. It's still in pretty good shape, minus the parking lot dings. I've been driving it all day today, and it's covered in pollen, I guess that is. It's a really nice car. Like, I just enjoy it a lot. The problem is the car market is a mess right now. COVID stopped production of cars last year, so they had a smaller inventory of new cars coming into the year. It also stopped and interrupted production of lots of other things, like the microprocessors, or you hear the chip shortage is what they talk about in the news. It also stopped rental car companies from buying massive fleets of rental cars. So rental car companies need new cars badly now. In fact, rental car companies have even started buying used cars to offer as rental cars. Not just that, but rental car companies aren't pumping used cars back into the marketplace. So the issue is really kind of interesting because it's the first time that there's ever been a shortage of supply of new cars globally, and a kind of an excess of demand. I don't know, maybe a strong demand would be a better way of describing it. There's not an excess of demand. Like, most people have cars or have access to a car, but there's a lot of extra cash floating around on the market from people not spending money on vacations when they weren't traveling during COVID. People getting stimulus checks in different parts of the world. Companies having big cash piles that they're sitting on, paying out bigger bonuses because, let's face it, most of them stayed in business last year, but they greatly reduced their travel expenses. People weren't buying furniture last year because they weren't sure about jobs, so people were saving money. So everybody's sitting around on a big pile of cash, except for the people in the service industry. Those people went without a job for a long time, and a lot of them are just trying to get back on their feet. And maybe they have a real job now as the job market's recovering. And now that they have a real job, they got to get to the job, but they can't buy a used car. A couple years ago, I looked at that car and I said, I wonder what it would be if I traded it in and I got something new and fancy that, you know, was exciting or interesting at the time. And that feeling, by the way, almost always passes because there's always something new and fancy next year. At the time, the trade-in on it was about $7,300, which was a little disappointing, but it was 5 years old, so it's not terrible. I paid $27,800 for it. It lost $20,000 in 5 years, so $4,000 a year. That's not unusual for a new car. It's actually up now. It's over $9,000 trade-in. In fact, used car prices have gone up as high as 30% in some categories just in 2021. That's the interesting, really, really reverse kind of weird dynamics in the car industry right now. But what it shows you is that we really are living in an economy where supply and demand principles still apply. And the reason it's gone up in price is because there is firm, strong demand. And there's a much, much smaller supply of new cars. About 16 to 18 million new cars are generally sold in the US every year. And I don't know what they sold last year, but they're struggling to keep up with the demand this year. If I can find those numbers, I'll put them here on the video. But anyway, I think I might have my nephew drive his old Mazda a little while longer before I sell him my car. I still like it. It still runs great. Still very reliable, quiet, and comfortable, and it fits me. So, you know, why trade now and lose money on it? But there is this thing about inflation. I might be better off buying a nicer, newer car now before the prices inflate further. That might offset the need to keep this car. Stay tuned.